Kroteka, Gorrsecck, Amarata! I am Gorrsecck the Lidless! Welcome to the Hall of Corruption!
Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and today I want to do something new. I want to do something called Design Decisions, and I want to talk today for this first episode in the series. I want to do a breakdown of Gorrsecck the Lidless. Who is this NPC from the Precipice of Corruption, and what was his purpose? What was the intent behind how I designed him? And I want to break that down. So to get started in this, first off, I'm going to show you an image of Gorrsecck the Lidless. This monstrosity. Hopefully he inspires a bit of awe and terror. But the thing that I want to be able to talk about is, why Gorrsecck the Lidless? So I'm going to read a little bit from one of the greatest books, the Dungeon Crawl Classics Role-Playing Game book, and I'm in the section on monsters, Chapter 9. So, Dungeon Crawl Classics Role-Playing Game dispenses with traditional monster assumptions. There is no generic monsters. The orcs that live in one region may differ from another region, and all monster statistics presented here are local variations. This is a world where more is learned from the word of mouth than the written word, and accurate knowledge is a rare and valuable thing. Thus, both judge and players know the creatures of their town and surrounding valleys, but what monsters lurk in the next mountain pass remains a thing of mystery. So, there is a whole section on making monsters mysterious. I absolutely love this. It really inspired me when I first got started designing adventures for Dungeon Crawl Classics. But one of the other things that I want to read from here is monster names. Intelligent monsters need not even be the orc, or the giant, or the unicorn. Rather, they may have proper nouns, which they use to refer to themselves and which local peasants use as well. For certain classes of monsters, the world may have no generic term. There is no Minotaur. There is only Mornoth, the bull-headed. So, with that in my brain as I designed this adventure, I decided that the boss monster at the end would be Gorrsecck the Lidless. Now, I want to talk about Gorrsecck the Lidless's metamorphosis over time, because originally I got this really wacky idea that Gorrsecck would actually, because one of the classic boss monsters of a first level adventure when I was young was a bugbear. And so I had this idea of a person that in a Leatherface fashion had basically gutted out the head of a bugbear and wore it as a mask over his face. But as I started to think about monsters and, how they became monsters, I decided to go a route of most monsters are basically being warped by chaos. And so Gorrsecck the Lidless went from being a man in a bugbear suit to being this individual with delusions of grandeur and a huge ego that over time basically made himself into a monster. And so he has, he is a giant of a man to begin with, or was at some point in his life. But over time, he has sewn pieces of leather and fur straight into his own skin, pieces of armor, and lots of piercings. Essentially, he is one big giant mess of extreme body modifications. And so, maybe his face actually still is that hollowed out bugbear head that was in my initial idea, or maybe it was the chaos magic, or maybe he just has made himself so hideous over time through all of the patches of things that he has sewn into his own skin. This is what he looks like. But the idea, that idea of keeping monsters mysterious, I didn't want it to be overt. I wanted it to be just terrifying and kind of gross, because that's kind of my thing. So, with that being said, he was a self-made monster, and that's one of the core principles of Gorrsecc. One of the things that I really wanted to tap into with this character was the Saturday morning cartoon villain vibes. There's little bits of things from Megatron and Starscream. Definitely when I start talking in the voice, there's kind of like that speech that Mumra, the Ever-Living, gives when he taps into his power. And so the goal was to create my own Saturday morning cartoon villain. Similar to a Cobra Commander, his own hubris allows him to be manipulated. He sees himself as being the leader, but in all reality, in the adventure, he is rolling with the Orange Coven, a group of cultists that worship Gorrsecc, the debased god. But they have been deceiving him. They told Gorrsecc that he is this chosen of Gorrsecc in order to basically convince this guy to be their tank. And so they're running around doing all of their nefarious deeds, and subverting the populace in the region around Stennard, while Gorrsecck the Lidless is gonna take the heat, because Gorrsecc is basically just this megalomaniacal being that wants everyone, as far as word can travel, to fear him. And in that sense, in the adventure, one of the things that he yells dramatically throughout the encounter, the big boss encounter, is he gives people the opportunity to kneel. And this is a very important aspect of Gorrsecc the Lidless. The idea is if I want this character to be a recurring villain, you got to give the players an out. And so, essentially, he is designed also to be durable. He's got 20 hit points, which for 0 levels is significant. I have seen a bunch of 0 levels swarm him and take him down when he rolled low for initiative. So it is possible to take him down, but in most cases, he will survive the first few hits. And the important thing about Gorrsecc is that he was specifically designed to one-shot a 0 level player character. So he has got his skull-headed mace, he's got a 18 strength, which gives him a +3, and I made him a leveled character with a deed die. Now, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of, for speed, that there will be a lot of judges that dispense with using the deed die, especially because it won't add, like, if you're going to one-shot kill a PC, because the 18 strength, that's +3, you've got the mace, that's 4 hit points, so most PCs are going to die in a single hit right there. If they have a stamina bonus, it's possible that they might survive the first hit. I've seen it happen, but it is rare. But the idea is that he comes striding up, and the first time that he smashes one of these PCs into pulp, and then once again demands that everybody kneel, it should sow terror through the players, and it should encourage them to flee. Now, one of the things that I have seen, especially in convention games, is the players will be like, no, we're going to stand and fight. And they will usually stand and fight until there's one or two left, and then those one or two flee. But oftentimes they will try to fight to the end. But in campaign play, it is not uncommon for them to walk away from the situation, promise that they will spread the word of his terror, his impending terror, campaign of terror, so that they can survive to fight another day. So that's an important design principle of Gorrsecck, is that he is designed to be a recurring villain. That doesn't mean that he's going to survive, and that doesn't mean that, you know, you should fudge things or what have you to ensure that he survives. The other big thing with the Precipice of Corruption, I always do that, with the Precipice of Corruption, is there's multiple villains. And so the members of the Orange Coven are there so that if Gorrsecck dies, it's okay. The rest of the Orange Coven is there to be your recurring villain. But it is an adventure that is designed to kick off a campaign. So those are the important design principles. I've stuck really close to the ideas behind the Dungeon Crawl Classics Rulebook and what they say about monsters and how monsters should be unique. It should be not a generic type monster. It should be the monster of the region, and giving them a name. And one of the things that it's reinforced in here is don't ever call them, like, don't describe it as a goblinoid creature, don't describe it as a bugbear, because as soon as you say those words, then that is what Gorrsecck the Lidless will be in their eyes. No, Gorrsecck the Lidless is just Gorrsecck the Lidless. So thank you for listening. I hope that gives you some insight into the design of Gorrsecck. If you want to support Breaker Press Games, go to the Goodman game site or to the Breaker Press game site and purchase a copy of The Precipice of Corruption or any of our other adventures that are listed there. They're all interconnected, or I should say any of our zines, because they're all interconnected with the Precipice of Corruption. You can support us on Patreon. The Patreon, I try to post several times a month, and I do a monthly Patreon game. The next Patreon game is DCC Day, July 16th, so it's coming up. And then finally, you can find all of our stuff in PDF form on DriveThruRPG. Just look up Breaker Press Games. You can see all those links in the description below. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Design Decisions. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Look forward to more design decisions in the future. All right, thanks. Bye.